Today we are going to go over the 2018 FRQ called String Checker. This is a release question from the AP. And notice that in this case I'm working on a non-interface problem. So on the actual string checker that they release, you have to implement an interface. This year the interface is no longer tested, so I just made some modifications. So a core word checker object can be constructed with three parameters, two integers and a string. Now, if you notice on your replet, there's the main Java that you want to ignore. This is just for testing. And in this case, there's nothing here. So you're going to have to implement the entire class. So the object can be constructed with three parameters, two integers and a string. The first two parameters specify the minimum and the maximum code word lengths. So those two strings is going to be the minimum and the maximum of the length. And the third parameter specifies a string that can now occur, that must now occur in the code word. Now think about a keyword that you are creating. And you want to make sure that the word that you specify does not occur in it. A core word checker object can also be constructed with a single parameter which specifies that the string must now occur in the core word. So it can be two constructors, one with two integers and a string, and the other one with a string. And if they only give you a string, then the minimum will be 6 and the maximum will be 20. And then from there, we'll work on the non-static method. So let's go through and create a class, and then we'll come back to the method afterwards. So it'll be public class code word checker. Notice that usually we have it as a singular. And now we're going to declare our fields. We always want to be able to have your fields private. There's going to be two integers, so there'll be the minimum and the maximum. So we'll just say they both are integers, so int minimum, private, int maximum. Notice that we just need to be able to declare. You do not need to initialize it if they're outside the method. And then the other one will be your string, so it'll be private string. It doesn't tell you what you need to name your string, so therefore we're just going to call it word. And word that does not occur in your code word. We can think of it as your password. So sometimes they have some requirements in a password that it has to be a certain length, your minimum, your maximum, and cannot have certain words. In this case, it will be word. So let's go and create your keyword, your constructor. So now let's go and create your constructor. It'll be public code word checker. Remember, your constructor do not return anything. We don't need to type in even void. And it's going to take in the minimum, the maximum, and the word. So int minimum, and notice that in here they tell you that's going to take the minimum first, the maximum, and the word that cannot be contained. And just we need to be able to just initialize each of your variables. So in this case, since we named them exactly the same, min and minimum, your actual field is minimum and your parameter is min and min. Therefore, we have to do this min equals to min, this max equals max, and this word equal to word. Now, if you want to be able to avoid this, if you want to be able to just name it slightly different, so let's say minimum, then you'll just type in Sometimes you'll see it with the word this, and I want you guys to get used to it, so I'm just going to do it with min on both. So that's your first constructor. It says that you also have to have another constructor that will just take in a single parameter, which will be the word that does now occur. So therefore, I'm going to place it right before it. So be public code word checker, and there'll be string word. Now we still have 3 fields that we need to initialize. In this case, your minimum will be 6 according to this as the default. Your maximum will be 20, and your word that can occur is going to be word. Now that's one way of doing it. Now another way that usually you will see it instead, we can actually call this constructor and just say this considering 6, a 20, and the word. So we can just actually just let the constructor do all the work for us. So that is your constructor. Now let's look at the method that we need to implement. So we must include a non-static method called isValid that returns a boolean and takes as a string named str. So let's see, we have done the constructors. So in this, let's go through example number 1 and example number 2. On example number 1, they create a new object, a code word checker object. They call you constructor. They give you the 3 parameters: your minimum, your maximum, and the work that cannot be contained in your code word and your password. And now they're going to call your method isValid that we're going to implement right now. And they're going to, the argument is going to be happy that you're taking as a parameter. Happy 245, it's a valid length and it does not contain the dollar symbol, so therefore that is a valid. The next one is happy with a dollar sign. It contains a dollar sign, so automatically disqualified, not valid. Code is too short, it has to be 528. Happy code is too long. Now on the second one, they're going to create another object called SC2. They call it constructor, but they only pass in 1 argument. So in this case, your parameter word, and 6 and 20 will be your default. So in this case, once you go into your method and call your method and they pass in the code word, the password, my pass. Notice that's not case sensitive, so we don't have to worry about being all lowercase or all uppercase. So pass is not contained because that one's a uppercase P. So therefore that is a true, that is a valid code word. My passport contains the word pass, so therefore that makes it into an invalid. Happy is too short because it's only 5, and because they did not give you any limits, it's going to be from 6 to 20. And then what is this? 3, 6, way too much money. It's too long. So let's go and implement. See if you can implement your method, and then we can check afterwards. You ready? So public is a non-static, so we don't need the word static. It's going to return a boolean. Correct? So it's a non-static, returns a boolean, and takes in a string as a parameter. So therefore the name of the method is valid. It's going to take a string str. Now the only thing that we want to make sure, we want to see first if it's within the length. So if str is another string, remember it's a string, so it'll be length. And do I need to print it's a method or a field? Correct, it's a method. We want it to be If it has to be greater or equal to your minimum, right? Then see if you can finish implementing. Then it can be smaller or less than your maximum. And there's one more restriction, which is the one that it's a little more tricky because you want to make sure that it does not contain the word. So therefore, str, some of you guys that might be tempted to say str is not equal to word. Now you have to be careful because the strings cannot be compared with the double equal sign or not equal to. We have to say it cannot contain. So therefore, we're going to use index of word. It cannot be any part of the word. Now remember that index of is going to return the index of the word, and on your AP exam you actually will have all the definitions all, and actually let me just look that up. So your AP exam, you guys will have all your definitions. In this case, your string. And now the last thing that we need to do, we want to make sure that it does not contain the word pass, which is in here word. So therefore, str is, some of you might be tempted to say is not equal to word, but in this case we don't want it to be contained. And even with strings, we cannot use the double equal sign. We cannot say equals because it can be part of it. So in your AP exam, you guys will have this quick reference sheet. And we have within your string class, we're going to use the index of. And notice that it returns the index of the first occurrence of str, and it returns -1 if not found. And that's what we're looking for. So therefore, we're going to say if str dot index of and word, if it's equal to -1, then that means that it wasn't found. If it was found, then it'll be returning the location of the word, the index of the starting of the word. Therefore, return true if it's valid, otherwise return false. And let me see if let's run it, and hopefully I get no errors. Let me just compare, and notice that in this case we do provide you guys with the output that's valid. On your AP exam, you're going to have to write it out, so there's no way for you to check. So you just have to kind of trust your skills at that point. So true, false, false, true, false, false. So therefore, that is your string checker. Email me if you have any questions, and have a great day.